All right, thank you so much for staying with us on the AM Report. And we have now a very important discussion at hand. Women or female athletes have not enjoyed since the beginning of time the same advantages that males do, whether it's in the treatment they receive from the coaches, from other athletes, or even from the fans. And one of those things that they don't enjoy the same as men is money. Simply put, like that. They don't get paid the same as their male counterparts, which is hugely unfair. And in some instances, women actually do better than men. For instance, Banyana Banyana going to the World Cup in a month's time out in Australia and New Zealand. When last did you say Bafana Bafana qualified for a World Cup? Not shading anyone, it's the truth. They played the 2010 World Cup because they were hosts. The last time they actually qualified was over 20 years ago in South Korea and Japan. Yet, they still get paid significantly better than what Banyana Banyana get paid. Did you know that Bafana Bafana for a draw get paid 30,000, 30, and for a win it's double that at 60,000. And there's also bonuses. We know that there's goal scorers bonuses or whatever else that might be put in there. And Banyana Banyana, listen to this, get paid for a draw 4,000, a measly 4,000 to draw a match, and to win a match, get paid less than 6,000 at around 5.7. And I'm joined by a couple of role players here in studio to help me break down what is happening. Let me start with across the table, Nqobile Ndlovu. He is the director at Cash and Sport. Thank you so much for your time. He's going to help us break down the numbers and tell us exactly what is happening in that space. And then Charlotte Nsubuga-Mukasa.
Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. She is the head of marketing at Momentum. The reason Momentum is here is because they are one of the few role players from corporate who've decided that women's sport is worth their while. Thank you so much to the both of you for joining me. Nqobile, let's start there. The numbers I gave, are they correct? They don't sound correct. They just don't make sense.
Yeah, so it's difficult to say 100% that they're correct, but these are numbers where they've either been submissions to Parliament but the actual federations themselves never put out the numbers. But these are either submissions to Parliament or numbers that we've picked up through conversation where people have had to account. So as best as we know and as best as we could gather, these numbers are correct. For football, yes, 60,000 for a win for Bafana, about 5,000 or 5.7. So the gap is about 1,100 and some odd percent between Bafana and Banyana. But even if you look beyond that at numbers that we do know for a fact, the broadcast fee for the PSL is about 600 million a season.
Yeah.
The grant that Banyana or women's football gets in this country is about 17 million a season. And the grant for in a month is about 100,000 rand, whereas the PSL grant for a PSL club is about 2 million rand. And within that 100,000, the team has to pay for accommodation, travel, and so on and so on. It's the gaps are just ridiculous. They're so big.
Are they as big? Before I bring Charlotte into the conversation, are they as big, the gaps between the male and female players in cricket and in rugby, are they?
Yeah, so in our two other sports, they are bigger. So in cricket, and thanks to the support of Momentum, it's probably the best case in terms of the gap. It's only about 300%. And it's not perfect, but it's a lot better. Let's say in rugby, for instance, an average male rugby player will earn in the region of about 3 million rand a season, right? And that's a flat basic contract. An average women's Proteas player will earn in the region of about 400 and some odd thousand a season.
Wow.
So the gap is about It's even higher. It's over 1,500%. And then in cricket, an average male Proteas player will earn in the region of about 1.8 million, and an average women's Proteas player will earn about 400 and some odd thousand. So it's not as bad in cricket. Because,
as it is in football.
As it is in football, as it is in rugby. Because of the support that cricket has received. Yeah. Momentum, in terms of longevity of sponsorship, has been around for a very long time, since I think it was 2013.
Yeah, it's about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, credit to them for just sticking with what a lot of people would have thought is non-profitable. And that is what we've slammed corporate about in the past few years, that corporate is just not joining the conversation. You guys are not coming through, right?
Yes.
And perhaps it's everyone's, it's a hot potato. Does the media have a role to play?
Yes,
are we not doing enough? Corporate, what's the issue? Some have said it's broadcast deals that are just not forthcoming. We're just not seeing enough of women's sport on television for corporate to be interested, right?
For the return.
Yes. Why are you then? What's the role you're playing, and why are you then interested? Perhaps we can convince the others to come through.
Yes. So, you know, as Momentum, we've got this campaign called #OneMoreFan. And the reason why we've done that is that we are trying to provoke other JSE-listed corporates first, and any other entity, whether you're at provincial or community level, to understand the sponsorship gap and the role that it plays in the gender pay gap. You know, if you are a woman athlete or a sporting team, you need eyeballs, because what corporates are chasing is people. The more people that know about the brand, the easier it is to sell whatever it is that we're selling. So I always say that if we can get South Africans, just one fan, just one, doesn't have to be millions, just one fan, to understand that it's not about SMSing or donating 10 Rand, just by sitting on the couch, having a braai with your friends, and by watching
you're helping.
You're actually helping to take that money, which goes into the sporting economy, eventually move from SuperSport, DSTV, or whatever the case is, to the coach, and then eventually to the athlete.
So basically, if the more eyeballs on television, if we are sitting, we don't even have to buy a ticket. If we're sitting watching a women's, whether football or cricket or rugby game, then the ARs come through, and there's a calculation of what, and they can now go to corporate and say, we want this much money for this team because it gets this much viewership.
Yes, and can I take the conversation a little bit further? I want to go directly to the athlete. They also have a role in attracting those sponsorship deals. If you've got an amazing social media presence, remember, we want eyeballs, the likelihood of your agent or you in your own capacity speaking to the likes of a Momentum and attracting a sponsorship deal is higher. So there's something about getting women's self-esteem up. You know, we talk about man of the match, but there's also woman of the match. We want you to be the spokesperson, but to be the spokesperson, you've got to be able to manage, we say bend it like Beckham. What's your reputation like? You know, because Beckham still makes money now, even though he's not a soccer player. He's attached to UNICEF.
Yeah, we know that.
So, you know,
he's just paid for the world's best player for the last,
but you know what? He's commercializing his talent. So we've got to get South African sportswomen to understand, how do I, beyond the fan, learn how to commercialize my talent so I can go back to my grassroots community and feed umama no tata who are still waiting for me. So there's an education that needs to take place in terms of the economy of sports.
Yes, and the sad thing is that most of these women athletes, right, they're at best semi-professional. So they don't wake up to go play. Thank goodness the cricketers now get contracts. So Banyana players don't wake up to go to training to play football specifically. They are call players. They are what we call freelancers in the business, in the media, and so they don't really enjoy the benefits that the male counterparts get, right? Whether they have to ask for leave from work to go play a Banyana game. Those are the things that people don't really get. But Nqobile, then, what are the numbers in terms of where we want to, the projections then? What's the solution? Do we look like the numbers are going significantly higher than they were before?
Yeah, so as a number, just to put it out there, about 48% of women football players on the African continent don't even have a contract, right? 70% or so don't even get paid to play. Sure. So football isn't a career, right, for women across the continent. It's better.
It's a side hustle.
It's a side hustle. It's a passion project.
Okay.
More than a career. They can't live off of it.
Yes.
As an example, the woman who won was Footballer of the Season in the Women's Hollywood Bet Super League. When she got presented with the South African Football Journalist Award, she was wearing a tracksuit and overalls because she was at work.
Yes.
They have to work in order to supplement their passion.
What a sad...
So the numbers in terms of women getting their fair dues are getting better in other sports. And they are improving, but not at a fast enough rate. And we need conversations like this to happen to force the narrative, to say to FNB, thank you so much for coming along and supporting women's rugby, but Toyota, we need you to come on board. All of these brands that you see advertising to women on television.
Is it the issue of the association's efforts not being good enough, or is... I mean, if
the entire ecosystem needs to improve in terms of broadcasting of games, right?
Yes.
For instance, all the broadcasters need to broadcast more games. There's only about 37 games that were broadcast on television last year in the Women's Hollywood Bet Super League, out of almost over 100, almost 200 games actually. There was only about 37 broadcast in the season. So There's not enough games. So you can't complain about people not watching games when you're not broadcasting the games for people to watch in the first place. So there needs to be some bravery around broadcasters saying we will
Someone needs to take a risk.
Yeah, we will put the content out there. We may not necessarily gain in terms of advertising revenue, which is what they want,
yes.
but in the long term it'll pay off.
And Charlotte, we have to wrap it up very soon. So quickly, is it profitable then? Because he's talking about broadcasters not necessarily getting the revenue that they're looking for. Then why would a corporate
get involved?
Because it doesn't look, and the association has said it is. The numbers are not looking good in terms of the ROI.
Yeah. So look, it's every marketer's dream to take a sponsorship asset or an athlete or a team and sell policies. But that's not how the real world works, because you've got to have a long-term view. We've also plugged into the national cause. By us supporting the national women's cricket team for 10 years, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was tipping scales at the JSE or bringing in policies per se, but we understood the cause and we said as a brand, what do we stand for? Sometimes you've got to be able to set aside the money conversation and understand the societal value you are playing. We understand as Momentum, we want to put women's sports on the map. We understand that we've got to fight patriarchy, legacy, broadcasting deals. We understand that we've got to educate the woman so that she can bend it like Beckham even after she retires. But most importantly, we've got to go down to grassroots sports. The girl in the village that's talented, by the age she's 14, she's going to exit her sporting code because society is going to say now after school you must wash dishes, you must go look after your brothers and sisters. Yet if we opened up the eyes of our people and we said at the age of 14, because that's the age when they start exiting netball or soccer, all the beautiful things that they're good at, and we show them heroes of people who have made it a career, we can go back to Umama Nodata and say leave her in sports so that one day she can buy you that house, or even just make sure that she's able to build her own financial legacy.
Yeah.
And that is the role of Momentum, to build financial legacies.
Charlotte, I have to let you and Nqobile go, and these are the conversations we need to have. It was desperately short, and I wish we had more time, and we will talk about it further next time. Thank you so much for the roles that you both are playing and in giving us the numbers. I was hoping we crack them some more, but thank you. We'll talk about it some more. The gender disparities in pay for male and female athletes. Ayanda has your headlines after this.